As developers, we don't have a traditional toolkit, as in we're not getting the old Ryobi drill out, the old DeWalt, whatever, all that stuff, all the contractor things, all the home improvers, whatever. But we do have quite a bit of a tool set. We got computers, we got peripherals, got screens, you got special mice and keyboards of varying types and varying colors if you do RGB and things like that. And then also you probably have some other stuff kind of laying around your desk, maybe an old PSP, or in my case, I have a BlackBerry Key 2, soon to be replaced by a Unihertz Titan 2, which I already have, backed it on Kickstarter. And I mean, that's the tool set, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, Mike, I'm going to hand it off to you in a moment. But if you're listening to this and this sounds interesting to you and you want to support the show, you can go and check us out on that Patreon, leave a review or rating on your podcast app, join us in our Discord server, or share this with your friends. And if you want to help out not only yourself, but us as well, you can net yourself up to 20% off a Scrimba Pro plan. Go and take some of their lessons, and you can start to code right inside of the lesson. The teacher will be teaching something. You could pause it, start messing with the code, be like, what's going on here? Get a little bit of experience hands-on, and then you can press play, and it just kicks off where you were before. We call it the Interactive Media Player Code Editor. They don't call it that. I call it that. Anyway, full details in the show notes on htmlallthethings.com, and the link, of course, will be in the show description and in the show notes as well. Go check it out. Up to 20% off that pro plan. And remember that we are powered by CodeRabbit. They give you the power of AI code reviews to help cut your code review time in half. Check out the link in the show notes and episode description to net yourself a 14-day free trial with no credit card needed and just a 2-click sign up with a GitHub or GitLab account. And now, Mike, please, sir, take it away.
Absolutely. I think like we do one of these episodes every year. One thing I do want to point out is it's not the tools that we use. It's obviously how we use them. It's a very typical cliche that we hear all the time. I do believe in that. Like you can code on a 12-year-old like laptop, throw Linux on there, and you're good to go for almost the entire workflow that I would be doing. I don't think I would notice that big of a difference, honestly, as a web developer. There would be a difference, but wouldn't prohibit me from doing some of the work that I do. So I want you to take some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about with that grain of salt, because I'm going to talk about some, like I have a MacBook, I have this cool keyboard, this cool mouse, not a necessity for you to be a good developer. But I think it's important still for us to talk about what makes us productive. I've refined the tools that I use over the almost decade of experience that I have. There's some knowledge to be shared there. I want to share that knowledge, but it's not from like a gatekeeping perspective. I'm not trying to tell you that you need a $6,000 MacBook Pro to be a good coder. That's not the takeaway from this episode. But what you can take away is, hey, if you're in a good spot or your company's in a good spot, a MacBook might be a good purchase, and all the other stuff that I'm going to be talking about might be also a good purchase to make you a little bit better, a little bit easier to work with and stuff like that.
What you're getting at is we're going to be focused on your setup, but like we're established. And if you think about talking to the listener, if you think about it, maybe you're on a budget and you're like, I'm going to buy like an Xbox, and it comes with a controller, whatever. And then down the road, maybe you have some money and you're like, it'd be cool to play couch co-op. So what do? You buy another controller. Then later on, you're like, oh, but you know what? It'd be nice to have like really good sound. And my significant other is sleeping in the room, so I don't want to wake them up. So I'm going to get a nice headset, right? These are things that like naturally you'll be like, oh, that's nice. And then you might go and buy. And so a lot of it's going to be like subjective to us as to what makes us productive. Cause some people would be like, the heck with that. I want a surround sound system. The list goes on and on. Obviously we're not going to be talking about gaming, but that's the simplest example I can think of. There's like an upgrade path to your own setup.
Yeah, exactly that. And what I don't want people to do is listen to this and be like, they're hard on money and they're like, oh, I have to get this stuff to be productive. I'm hoping that's not the case. And I'm hoping that like the vibe that I'm going to be talking about is not going to do that. But that's what I want to preface this with is don't do that, especially if you're struggling for money. This isn't going to all of a sudden 10x your income. Like getting a MacBook is not going to 10x your income. Getting a job might. And in that case, you might get a MacBook from that job or whatever. But the tool isn't the thing that's going to change everything in your life. So focus on the stuff that you can change and upgrade your setup, like Matt's saying, gradually as you have the income, as you have the cash, to make it a little bit easier here, a little bit easier there until you find something that you're happy with. And like for me, for the most part, I'm pretty happy with what I have. That's not to say that I'm not going to have a couple new things next year to talk about, because I do like to tinker. I like tech in general. I like talking tech. I like researching it. So I do typically tend to buy new things here and there, but it's because I'm in a spot that I can, right? Like I have a job, we have this podcast, we have everything. So it's just, I'm in that spot. I'm more established. and I have a good base to work from, changing a couple of small accessories here and there isn't something that's going to sink me. But again, if it's going to sink you, don't do it. Focus on actually doing the work with what tools you have. And there's some thought process in, hey, if you have a crappier laptop, you might have to build more efficient code. That's a real thing that can happen. Like when I was coding on a 2013 MacBook Pro, that was like only 4 years ago. I had to think about what tools to use and what packages to use that aren't going to load my system as much. And that sometimes resulted in me coding like less bundle size, more efficiently, et cetera, et cetera. So there's some advantages to having a shittier setup as well. But yeah,
I will say something too is that like a lot of people may think, okay, like what I'll do then is I'll save up for this equipment. I think that you should probably try to think about your own priorities in terms of your equipment as well. Because some people will be like, Wayne, I really want a new computer, really want a new computer. But if the current one's not holding you back, I think that needs to be something that's considered. Like even if you are on a 2013 MacBook, but you're working in some sort of niche where, you're building like kiosk apps or something and you're not being held back at all. Sure, it might be nice to have a new computer. I'm not saying don't go do it, but I would think maybe just think twice.
Mhm.
If I put an example out there, I golf a lot, but I'm using like 90s clubs. And I went from 80s clubs, which were actually holding me back to the point where they were falling apart. And they actually secreted a fluorescent orange powder into my bag. And I was sitting there scrubbing it for like over 10 hours. It was a really big mess. And I'm not joking. That sounds ridiculous. This is an actual thing. So something inside the club, the material broke down and it was a disaster. And so then I went and bought refurbished 90s clubs from a friend whose dad was like a big golf enthusiast. And those are good. And like people keep telling me like, hey, you could get newer ones, you can get better ones. And it's true, I could, but I didn't. And I haven't. And I don't really plan on it's something I'm looking at. Even though I golf a lot, I'm like, I don't think this is going to really improve my game much, as an example. But something like I got a whole set of wedges did improve my game. And so my point there is maybe you don't need a new computer, but maybe your mouse constantly double clicks. Maybe it's time to be like, Jesus, like this thing is really starting to bug me. Let's get a new mouse and not get a new computer right away. Choose your equipment wisely, is my opinion on it. Don't just be like, oh, I have a new job, let's go. Because if you get laid off, then it's, oh, great, now I just bought this new computer. Maybe it is paid off, hopefully. But then I could have had that money to pay rent or whatever.
Yeah, you could put that money in an investment and have it grow, right? Depending on what computer you're getting, $5,000-$6,000, put it in an investment fund, that could grow quite a bit. So there's a lot of considerations to have, even if you have the money. I 100% agree. I think at some point you're probably going to start to realize when your computer is either failing, like hardware failing, or it's slowing down to the point where it's becoming inefficient, right? Like when you're noticing the wait times for builds taking forever, when you're noticing like every time you hit save, it takes a long time. That's actually slowing you down. Those are like actual things that you can work around if you don't have the money. But when you have the money and you want to save those extra seconds or extra minutes or extra hours sometimes, that's when it becomes worthwhile to invest, again, when you have that money. But yeah, talking about investing, the first thing we're going to talk about is the big one, which is the MacBook Pro that I'm using right now. So it's a 16-inch M4 Max, 48 gigabyte of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD MacBook Pro. This thing is crazy fast. I can't even describe how good it is, really, like from speed perspective and really the quality perspective. Like it's a beast of a machine.
You say 28 or 48 gigs of
48,
RAM
48. Yeah.
in this economy too. Man, that's
This
$7,000 worth of RAM.
yeah. In today's RAM economy, yeah, that's like infinite dollars. Yeah, that's correct. But even back then was a lot of money. Thankfully, this is a computer that was paid for by my company. So I didn't have to pay for this. I probably would not have bought it if I had to pay for it because it's way too expensive. I think something around the $6,000 Canadian mark. I can't remember. Just an insane amount of money. But I can honestly say that it's like the best piece of technology I own by far. It is. The screen's amazing. The keyboard's great. Trackpad's great. It feels like a solid beast. It's quiet, like scary quiet, no matter what you're doing on it. If you're gaming on it, which I do sometimes, I'll talk about that later. You can hear the fans a little bit, but it's nothing like a gaming computer where you literally can only hear the fans. You can't even hear the game. Its battery lasts forever if there's nothing draining it. If you don't have an active heavy process happening, it's literally forever battery. Yeah, I have almost no complaints. This is a beast of a machine. If you're not getting paid a ridiculous amount of money, I would not go buy one. You can get a regular M4 MacBook or even like a used refurbished M3 or M2 MacBook. Any of the M series MacBooks, I highly recommend. You can get them for very economical these days, like a MacBook, even a MacBook Air for a lot of us developers would be enough, unless you're trying to do some heavy AI workloads like inference and stuff like that. But like for regular web development, honestly, an M2, M3 MacBook Air, enough. Like you can get away with that, and that's going to cost you anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000. So not going to break the bank too bad. If you get them refurbished, you might be able to get them down even lower, and that thing will last for a while, will be a good machine for development in the future. If you want to get like a Windows machine or a Linux machine, those are good too, as long as you go for like a decent one. I think
Much more cost effective, I will say,
they
in
can
general
be,
too.
yeah, they can be, depending on what quality you're looking for. You can get
Of course.
a much cheaper one, but it'll have less features and less quality. Like, I do think that there is some longevity, like pricing, that you can factor into some of these MacBooks, where if it is a decent priced MacBook Air or like a lower end or a not top tier MacBook Pro, and you're planning on keeping it for 5 to 10 years, you can probably make that argument that some Windows laptops in that range might not last for that long, or below that range, I should say, like cheaper ones won't last that long. Either way, yes, you can definitely get good machines on both sides nowadays. There's some great processors on the Windows side. I just don't know. I haven't been keeping up as much with that stuff. So for me and the people around me, we've all been on MacBooks for a while, and they've been solid to work on.
Excuse me. One thing I will say is choose your experience as well. Like me, like I'm really into the Microsoft ecosystem. I game on there. All my personal stuff's on there. My professional stuff's on there. And so, yeah, like I can plug in, like I can use, let's say, the Outlook app. I can use the Outlook website and things like that. But it is nice to just have like, hey, I like sign into my computer with my Microsoft account, and I got my Windows Hello, and the list goes on and on. I got my OneDrive, and I have all that set up, and I have my OneDrive personal, my OneDrive professional, and this and that. Like it is definitely an ecosystem thing, because I know that like my one friend, he's all Mac, because Mac has a pretty good ecosystem, and like he said, just even the texting alone, where the texts, I the iMessages certainly do. I assume the SMSs do on the computer. I don't know, but like from his iPhone to his MacBook, he thinks all that stuff is super convenient for him. He doesn't even think about it. If his phone's charging, he just goes to his computer. And I have that to an extent with Android and Windows, but unfortunately, it signs me out like a fair bit of the time. But like Mac has, I will say, like from my little experience, I do not use a MacBook. From my little experience and from hearing people's reviews personally on my personal side, they love the ecosystem a lot. And so like I'm in that Microsoft ecosystem, they're in that Apple one. So just consider, just something to consider, because also Windows does have that subsystem, like that Linux subsystem that you can install for free and all that. So if you're like, hey, I want to game a bunch and I want to use Linux, it's maybe that's where you need to go. And then also, hey, I'm on a budget. So you might be able to get a pretty decent computer. Because like, Mike, what did we do? Black Friday or something? I needed a computer that actually had a decent battery, because I have basically a desktop replacement gaming laptop that I used to use to develop a number of years ago. And I needed something to show clients stuff, because at the time, this is pre-COVID, I think, we used to actually go and show people their stuff. And we used to use a tablet, but then they'd be like, hey, what's the desktop site look like? What's it look like on with a mouse and keyboard and stuff? And it's, oh, I can't really show you that, because this laptop desktop replacement gaming thing is going to last 40 minutes max, and it's going to blast its intercooler because you're opening Chrome. We bought a VivoBook S or something like that. And like that thing, it's pretty good. Like it lasts 6 hours or whatever. It was $750 on sale, like Canadian as well. Like I still use it. I was just using it like an hour ago. So something like that, that's a great deal for someone who wants to go Windows. And I do the Linux subsystem on there and everything. And yeah, it's a little bit slower than my main rig, my main computer, which is like a custom build, but like totally usable. Like at no point am I like, oh my God, this thing is like eating money. It's, oh no, like a video export takes an extra minute, but I'll just prepare the marketing materials while it's doing it, because it's able to multitask that.
Yeah, it's modern enough to be in the realm of, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like you're
Yeah.
shaving seconds or a couple minutes here and there, so it's not a huge deal. I agree. Like the ecosystem thing is real. I'm fairly out of ecosystems. So I have MacBook, I have Windows computer, I have an Android phone. I do have an iPad somewhere. I have AirPods with my Android. Like I'm almost anti ecosystem in a way, because I just haven't bought into an ecosystem. I don't know. It's not like a preference thing or anything like that. Maybe if I ever get into a full Apple ecosystem, I can see the benefit of it. I've been able to get around it. Like it hasn't been that big of a deal for me personally. I could definitely see where if someone just gets familiar with something, they just don't want to change, especially as you get older. That's just how it is. But we just don't want to change from the familiarity, because it takes time. I'd rather spend that time with my family or playing games or doing something else. Like, why do I need to invest all this time into changing my ecosystem when the one that I'm using is working perfectly fine? That's an argument. And some people would be like, hey, that's lazy. No, it's not. Like there's other more important things in life than learning in-depth tech stuff on a new computer and a new operating system. That's not a necessity for a lot of people. When you have a job and they force you to use an ecosystem, yeah, like you're going to spend company time to learn how to use whatever ecosystem you need to use. That's fine. But it's a personal thing. Do whatever the heck you want. They all work fine. Like depending on what you want, Linux is perfectly fine now. It's like you can even game on Linux now. Like it's completely suitable for almost any use case. And Mac OS, you can do whatever you want on there as well. Like maybe gaming is a little bit under-baked, half-baked, but you can do it now too. Like it's not the end of the world, but you can't play every game. You can play most games. Windows is great, but yeah, the AI stuff, it's annoying, but you can get around it. It's not like they're forcing you to use it. They're just promoting it a little bit. It's not that big a deal.
It's funny that you mentioned all that because I went into the ecosystem not because I wanted to deep dive. It's because I stopped wanting to deep dive, and I was just like, my photos are backed up to OneDrive. I got my files in here. I always say I'm an old man now. Leave me alone. Sign in. It's like I sign into Microsoft, and we're going to put your OneDrive here. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Microsoft's like, hey, you can use the premium version of Copilot now because you have Microsoft 365. Okay, thank you. I'll do that a bit. I just don't care. And it's like, you need a word processor? Press start, type in word, enter. Like, it's just, that's where I'm at, where I'm like, I don't want to, people are like, try the Arc browser. I'm like, I'm on edge. And I was told actually by a guest, they're like, you're a brave man. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I sign in with my Microsoft account and it's over. It is over. It just does it all for me. It backs everything up. I don't care.
Yeah, and that's valid. That's a valid take. The other valid take is some people want to just consistently look at new things and try new things and waste time on that, or not even waste time, enjoy that time. Like they enjoy ramping up in new things, and that's
Sounds like a hobby.
too. Yeah, it's a hobby.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, that's great too. I have that a little bit. I've been becoming more of an old man in the sense of I don't do that as often, and I get pissed when stuff like that is forced on me, but I still do it sometimes. And I'll talk about that stuff right now, honestly. Like this year, I think I've changed a lot of the applications, at least that I'm using. The IDE that I'm using, so the code editor is Cursor now. I believe last year I was not Cursor. I was just using straight VS Code. I think Cursor is a new thing of this year, for me at least. I know it's been out for a couple of years now, but yeah, that's what I use on on my MacBook, and it's been great. Yes, it's not perfect. 100% not perfect. It has some weird features here and there that they try and they don't land, but honestly, like I've been able to figure out an AI workflow that works for me in Cursor. You can still do everything that VS Code can do because it's a VS Code fork. That's worth like $30 billion right now, by the way, which is insanity. But regardless, because of that, like it's a good IDE. And I've tried to go back to VS Code and I noticed that I just don't like it as much because the features that Cursor added and the AI workflow that Cursor has is superior for me. Yeah, it honestly, like it costs money. So it's not a free thing. I believe they have a free tier or a free trial. I don't know what it is right now because I just pay for it. But the productivity boost that it gives is enough for me to justify the costs. And I've had we had an episode recently on the spectrum of development stuff where I talk a little bit more deeply on how I use AI and how I use Cursor to benefit from it and get as much good quality code as I can. That's been changing pretty quickly for me. Like when a new model comes out, when a new feature comes out, I'll try it and give it a shot and see if I can use it in a way that actually benefits me or not. So I've been pretty flexible on that front because right now that's where the frontier is, in my opinion. That's where I have to spend energy because I feel like if I don't, I will start losing productivity and I'll just fall by the wayside. And sometimes I'll go down routes that are not good. So I'll lose productivity that way. But I believe it's worthwhile to make those investments right now to make sure that I'm in a good spot in the future when this becomes ubiquitous. Because I do believe that this type of development, AI-driven development, is the way that it's going to proceed. That's not going to go away. I think we're just going to need to get better at it and more accurate, and the models need to get better, and we need to get better at using it in the right ways. Like we need to rely on it less for certain things, rely on it more for other things, and get something out of it. But the only way I can get there again is to try these tools out and sometimes go down the wrong path.
What you're effectively saying is you're Captain Kirk and you've begun your 5-year mission.
Yes.
Into the new frontier or the final frontier, potentially.
Absolutely. At the same level of epicness. Yeah, exactly. Totally. 100%.
Because here's the thing, though. Here's the problem with Star Trek. It's a little off topic. It's not the final frontier. And friggin' Bones says it because I'm just going to spoil part of the original series from the 60s. Pike gets like a disease and his like mind is still working, but like his body's completely fucked. And so they look at it and they're like trying to do medical things, whatever. He's in like a wheelchair, like a future wheelchair thing. And friggin' Bones, the doctor, goes up and he's and this is not a direct quote, it's been a while since I watched it, but he's something like, the human mind is the only frontier left. It's like, what? We're supposed to be doing a 5-year mission in the final frontier. What?
That's being a slightly stickler, but I do get what you're saying, because like even in Star Trek world, they haven't mapped out the human mind yet, which is crazy to think about. Like, you think that they would have gotten there at that point. Like, at some point, we have to understand our own mind. I would hope so.
They don't get it. They don't understand they don't understand how it works. I
fully understand how the AIs that we're building work right now, which is
I was told back in college, which I don't know if it's true, that we didn't like the people who made Photoshop don't really understand how it works. They just keep building on it and experimenting to get things to work. I do not know if that's true, but apparently like a lot of the filters and things, they don't really get it. Because there's so many like calculations and things that are happening in the background that they're just like, oh, let's make it green now. And so they add something on when realistically probably you could go back 10 years and change this little thing to make it green. We just added a green layer. And then in 10 years, oh, let's just add a red layer. But meanwhile, it was red and you could have removed the green. Like I don't know if that's true again, but
I feel like that's more of an indication of legacy code bases with enterprise level like software development cycles. That's just a necessity. If you look at AutoCAD, it's the same way. Like anything that has that type of like compatibility requires you to essentially just keep jacking pieces on top of it. Like just keep putting stuff on top rather than going back and rewriting.
That's kind of one of the criticisms of WordPress in Windows, for that matter. They're legacy. I don't want to say legacy based, but they respect legacy things.
Correct. Yeah. And you lose a lot of context when like an engineer leaves a lot of times in those systems, to the point where if 10 years down the line, you need to do something like you're saying, they don't even know about that one function that they could have changed. So they have to build a new function and millions of lines of code. It's impossible to go through that and realistically efficiently write code every single time. You're going to write inefficient code 100%.
Or you're going to take 10 years to put out a patch.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to pick one or the other. Yeah, if you want to make it perfect, then you're just never going to release anything. That's in my opinion, this is a completely tangential thought, but in my opinion, like that kind of development cycle is not great. I think that you should have a rewrite built into your development cycle. So like every 5 years, if the application is being used by enough people, it should be like a ground up rewrite. And that will allow you to create all these things. And there's negatives in that too, like tons of negatives, like cost and potential to screw up and stuff like that. And there's reasons that they don't do that. There's very good reasons they don't do that. But in my opinion, you'll get better products like that way, because you're allowed to iterate quickly due to the fact that in 5 years, you're going to rewrite it anyway, or rewrite certain pieces of it or something. So there's positives and negatives. All right. With that, terminal. My new terminal is Ghosty. This one you've probably seen around all the time. So I was using iTerm 2, I believe, before. It was fine. People started talking about Ghosty. It was one of those things where I was just like, that seems cool. It looks cool. I like the logo. It's a little ghost. I like it. And I tried it out and I never went back. It's good. It's a fast terminal, really fast. So whenever I type something, I see it right away rather than a split second or a millisecond of delay. Not a huge deal. This one is probably the most pedantic one, in my opinion, where like I could have stuck with iTerm 2 and nothing in my life would have changed even slightly. But I jumped on the hype train and it's good. Yeah. Don't really have
what is iTerm 2? Is that literally like the window or the Mac OS terminal?
No, the Mac OS terminal is garbage. iTerm 2 is like an older terminal that's been around for a long time that just has like a bunch of features built into it, and it's good. Like it's fine. It's just like it was the standard recommended terminal even like a year or two ago. Everyone was recommending using iTerm 2, and then Ghosty came along, and now it's probably in the zeitgeist and recommended more than iTerm 2. Just because it's a little.
What is it that Ghosty or the iTerm 2 does that you couldn't accomplish with something, let's just say standard, like Windows PowerShell or the Mac OS terminal? What is because it's a terminal at the end of the day here. We're not, we can be doing advanced things, but like we're not doing that much.
Well, like
right?
I think, for example, the Mac OS terminal up until maybe even a month ago, or I think it was a month ago, didn't support color. And so a lot of these new terminals will support color. And so when you're doing a lot of stuff is in the CLI now. So especially with AI, You can do a lot of things in the CLI, and there's like literal GUIs in the CLI. When you type in something like a command, it'll pop up with 15 different options, or you'll pop up with an interactive interface almost that you can like navigate around. And that in like the native terminal looked like shit because it wasn't supporting some of the newer features that terminals were starting to build. And so iTerm 2 supported most of the features that I needed. The other feature that I really liked about it was you could have these like little mini windows or like a persistent window that you could pop up in on any desktop. So like I use multiple desktops, and what I like to do was like just pop up like a terminal window on top of my actual windows so that I can code and have the terminal window there and then hide it and show it and hide it and show it. There's a kind of like a cool feature in that sense that iTerm 2 provided that made me want to switch to it. So those two things, like the color and the ability to pop in and out on the window. But yeah, there's not that much difference. And speed, like the terminal speed, like in terms of like reactivity, like how you can see the text pop up as you're typing. It's a little bit slower on native macOS terminal.
That's
And
crazy to me. That's something the color thing, I
yeah.
think that's valid. Like the color, I didn't know that. Again, I don't use Mac,
Mhm.
but that's crazy to me that there's like a speed, like it's the terminal. Like the terminal is the speed. At least
Yeah.
like I used to be a sysadmin, and it's like that's what we used to do because it was fast. But we were using like the Linux, like Bash or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, and it's still fast. It's just again with these more interactive in CLIs, you could tell the difference between how you interact. So like you would literally like changing between different selections, going up and down on a selection. You would notice a delay on a macOS terminal versus Ghosty. There would be a significant,
Dramatic?
like enough to notice. I don't know if dramatic is enough. Like it's not dramatic in that it actually impacts your work, in my opinion. You can definitely get your work done just fine, but speed is fun. I don't know. Like it's really not a necessity. That more necessity stuff is the features like popping in and out and the color. But I believe macOS Terminal did get color recently. I believe.
I will.
Don't quote me on that.
Like I said, I did not know about the color. Like I
Yeah,
totally agree with that. That's a really valid one. That'd be like saying, man, like we have, let's say back in the day, Notepad plus plus, and it like formats everything nicely, but it just doesn't really do color yet. It's like what?
correct. Yeah,
What?
it's just a weird little like thing that wasn't there. So at the end of the day, again, this one is the most pedantic one. Not a huge deal. Inside of Ghosty, I do use ZSH, which is just like a fancy layer on top of the terminal that makes stuff appear better. So like it'll show me what GitHub branch I'm on in the project that I'm working with in a nice colorful way. You can have different themes for your text. You can have different fonts for your text and stuff like that. Yeah, it just makes the terminal a little bit more friendly to use. So that's really it. ZSH is pretty cool. Most configurations have that as default now anyway. And one cool little thing that I've been doing is to benchmark a lot of times to see like how it can improve my life right away, like newer AI models. I'll open up the ZSH configuration file, which is just a text file, and I'll ask AI to suggest enhancements to it to make my life easier. And a lot of times it'll suggest like different plugins that you can add to it. Like I have it suggested an autocomplete plugin recently for me that makes it so that like as I'm typing, it'll suggest different things to put in right away. So I don't have to type everything fully, which has been working pretty well. It suggested a couple other things I can't remember now, but it made it look better. It made the text crisper, whatever. Like it did a couple things that I thought was really interesting. And it's a good kind of quick use of AI or benchmarking AI to see if anything's actually better in the new version. Next thing here is a tile manager. So this is a new one for me. I did not use a tile manager before. If you're a Linux head, you'll probably know what this is. I didn't even know what this was until I got told what it was. But essentially in Linux, a lot of times you will have tile managers to split your windows up, make it so that you have a bunch of shortcuts for changing focus of your windows, changing the positioning of windows, and then also different spaces or desktops, right? So like having a desktop or a space for just your coding stuff, having a space for your entertainment stuff, having a space for messaging, and you could switch quickly between them, like really rapidly between all the different spaces with, again, a lot of it is keyboard shortcuts. macOS natively doesn't have support for that kind of stuff. Like it doesn't have real good tile managing support. So there's a new tile manager that's an open source tile manager called Aerospace that was built on top of it. Pretty good. What I like about it is, again, switching between desktops. That's really the only thing that I focus on because I typically don't like having windows split. I like having a focus on one window at a time. Sometimes I will need us to split the window. Like sometimes I do use that feature, but it's pretty rare. Most of the time, all I need to do is be able to switch between one IDE window to another IDE window, terminal to IDE, messaging to IDE, browser to IDE. So I just need a way to switch between all those different applications quickly. And Aerospace provides a pretty easy interface to be able to just add a bunch of shortcuts with an option key or something like that. Like essentially I have like option Z, A, Q, all different spaces. Same with X, S, W, 1, 2, 3, like just switches between all my different applications. That's really the best way to put it. The main focus of why I use it. The other thing it does is that it splits my spaces between my monitors. So I have my MacBook monitor, my main desktop monitor, and my vertical monitor. And one annoying thing was then when I disconnected those monitors before I had Aerospace, every time I would reconnect to my MacBook, it would throw my windows in random places and they weren't consistent. Now I can put, hey, this space should always be on this monitor and this space should always be on this monitor. So when it's plugged in, it'll automatically switch to those monitors. When I unplug it, they just go to the same monitor, obviously. So I like those kind of features. I don't use all the full potential of Aerospace, like the tiling. I really don't use that very much. There's probably a lot more that I could do with it, but it's been a pretty big game changer for me to be able to switch between apps really quickly.
May I ask, so just like this might be a dumb question. This is like Windows Snap, right? Is what you're talking about? A more advanced version of Windows Snap?
Yes, so the tile managing part is essentially Windows Snap, but with shortcuts. And I believe that Windows has shortcuts as well. I believe they're built in as well. I just don't know if you use them or not, but
I use some keyboard shortcuts. They're from the original version of Windows Snap, so I don't know if there's new ones. There likely is.
But... So essentially, yes, that's the tiling part of it, but the spaces part where like the switching between apps, that's the other part that I use more than the tiling. And that's not Windows Snap. That's like Windows virtual desktops or whatever.
Oh, okay. Like because you can bring up that screen in Windows, like the what do they call it? I got it right here. Actually, it doesn't list the title here, but it's like there's different desktops, but you can also, it'll be like desktop 1, it has all of like the windows that are in desktop 1, you can switch to desktop 2, and there's keyboard shortcuts and everything for that and everything. Okay.
Yeah, so similar to that. And macOS does have that natively as well, like virtual desktops. It's a big part of macOS, but the way it handles it is a little bit clunky and you have to set up the shortcuts and you can only have 4 for some reason, like 4 shortcuts to 4 different desktops, and then you can't shortcut to the rest. I don't really know why that's a limitation. But regardless, the macOS implementation of the desktop shortcuts isn't very good. I was using it for a while before and I liked it, but I was like limited in how much I could have, obviously, with 4. Now I can have infinite.
To be fair, I think a lot of the Mac stuff is, yes, I understand developers use it in things and music people use it in things, but I do think that a lot of the Mac stuff is still very like supposed to be consumer friendly. Like it would be more so, hey, here's your 4 desktops. It's like statistically how many consumers or even people who occasionally record music just for fun or something, how many of those are really using 4 desktops. And so for them, meaning Apple, they're servicing their primary base.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think most people would just use the one desktop and never even know about the other virtual desktops.
Yeah, I don't even use the multiple desktops in Windows because I literally don't know why you would use them. I've tried it so many times and I'm like, now my window's gone and I forgot it was open.
So the implementation on Windows pisses me off in that way. So it feels like a complete separation because it's like you're opening a completely new desktop with everything new, like your taskbar is new, everything is new. And that kind of separates it out a little bit too much for me. I like the fact that the taskbar stays the same on macOS. So you know what windows are open on what desktop, and it'll essentially, like if you click on a window, it'll take you to that desktop, or like to click on an app, it'll take you to the desktop that it's on. Whereas in Windows, it'll just open up a new window on that virtual desktop. It's a little bit weird. So the Windows implementation of virtual desktops, I could never use as well. Like I never got it to work the way I wanted it to.
I tried for so long to put all my comms apps into the one desktop, where it was like, okay, I'll put my Slack, my Teams, my WhatsApp, my messages, the this and that, all that. I'll do all that in the one, and then I'll work in one, and I'll have all my kind of communications, which are effectively distractions a lot of the time, in the other desktop. And so I'll be like very much siloing what I'm doing, what I'm checking, what I'm using. And Windows 10, I haven't really touched it much on Windows 11, but in Windows 10, they started adding it so that if you had an app open in another desktop, like it would show it on the taskbar, but with a different icon thing. And I don't know, I just got to a point where I was just like, now this isn't separate enough. And to be honest, like maybe it's like amazingly better now. Like it's been a number of years, but it's one of those things where it's like, it shows me it, I try it, I'm like, oh, it didn't work. And then even if it's amazing now, I haven't gone back and checked it.
Yeah, that first impression is important. Yeah.
Well, like that goes back to that one episode I was about to say that never ending updates episode that we recorded a couple weeks ago or last, I don't know, whenever, a couple weeks ago, where these apps are constantly trying to get us to do stuff. And so like that new feature, I don't know what you like, but that new feature is buried now.
Yep. Okay, so next thing here is Raycast. So that's like my search app. Essentially, I instead of Spotlight search on macOS, I've replaced it with Raycast. You do Command Spacebar. It brings up a menu, and you can search your entire desktop or your entire computer, or you can do actions in it. So this is the key difference between it and like a Spotlight. There's different applications that you can actually install inside of Raycast, like a note-taking application, to-do apps, even Pomodoro timers and stuff like that will run inside of this window that pops up anywhere on your screen, as well as
Interesting.
the thing. So it has a lot of functionality that way. You can have system-level applications. So for example, because I'm not an ecosystem user, so I have the AirPods on macOS and on Android. They don't seamlessly connect between the two, so I have to manually do that. Before, I would have to go into the menu, find the Bluetooth settings, and it was like 4 or 5 clicks to get to the area for me to actually switch between Bluetooth devices. Now, inside of Raycast, there's an app called Toothpick where I can literally do Command Space, Toothpick, and then press Enter, and then it'll switch to my Bluetooth to my AirPods. So it saves a lot of clicks in some ways. You can set up other shortcuts in it. You can set up other apps in it, and it's really fast at searching apps. So like I don't pay for it. It has a paid version. I don't pay for it. The paid version has AI and other cool things in it, I'm sure. But for me, the free version is more than enough to get like a lot of value from it. So it's a pretty sick app. Highly recommended if you're on macOS. The last one is Arc, which is my browser. This one is a little bit begrudging because over the last, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months or so, I've been using it because I don't want to go through the effort of switching between browsers. And the other part of it, it does have features that I like more than all other browsers, and I have tried other browsers before. So there's this one feature, and I've grown to maybe not even like this feature as much anymore. And I'm if you ask me a month from now, this might be the one application that is different on my computer, for sure. Essentially, the one feature that I really liked about it for a while is how it manages profiles. So it has a sidebar for all the tabs, but if you go onto the sidebar, you can actually open multiple profiles and they'll have completely different accounts. So you can, again, I split my personal and work accounts like that. So when I go to my work account, all I have to do is essentially hover over the bar or the sidebar and hit forward or back on my mouse, and it'll switch between my profiles completely, and I'll be in a different space essentially. And that's a really easy and quick way for me to switch between apps. And you can do the same thing with gestures on your MacBook on the touchpad. So it was just a really cool way and a really easy way for me to switch between work and personal profiles, which I could not replicate like as much as I tried on different applications. Now, you could set up different applications to just have shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts for switching profiles. So that's just me not wanting to do that and learn it again. This is something like it's again like an old man kind of thing where I learned this and I liked it and I didn't want to relearn it. At this point, I'm at the point where this in general, Arc is like one of the slowest browsers I've ever used. It will, yeah, it's remarkably slow. When I do a speed test on it, where like the actual like JavaScript speed test, it gets like a 30 score, let's say. If I do the same speed test on the same computer on Chrome, it's like 80. So it's like significantly like even more than 2 times slower than a Chrome browser. When there's browsers that are faster than Chrome, Edge is faster than Chrome and stuff like that. Like Chrome is not the fastest browser. So like I'm even on my massively powerful MacBook Pro, I'm not noticing the speed difference because it's fast enough to compensate for it. What I am noticing is the battery difference because it's so slow and because it has to render so much and cause it being so slow that it hits the battery hard. So whenever I like hover over my battery, it's like Arc is using a ton of battery. So I'm getting pissed off at that to the point where I think over the holidays, I'm going to make the switch and I'm going to take the plunge again and have to reset up all my accounts and passwords, which I freaking hate. I think there is a service there, by the way. Someone should develop a service to be able to run parallel browsers, different browsers with the same exact like backbone so that switching becomes seamless. I feel like it might be a security nightmare for sure. I don't want to do it. But if someone can handle it that's really security minded, please do it because I will probably pay for that just so I can try out different browsers without bashing my head into a wall.
I don't, short of a very few select services, I sign out and sign back in when I use them. because I don't want them just sitting there signed in case I need to like give this computer to an IT tech to work on.
I don't even know what to say. That's lunacy.
And many of them don't have autofill. I copy and paste the stuff over from a password manager.
Lunacy. You're a psychopath.
I think that's crazy. That's the thing that's holding you back. And have all my passwords and stuff. Oh, I'll just sign back in. Sometimes my Google signs out. I'm like, oh, and I'll forget to sign back in for a
Yeah, but
week
now it's
or
like
something.
passkeys and stuff are attached to it too, so you have to reset up. I don't know. It's just so much.
I have passkeys. I have passkeys, and that it takes 2 seconds.
No,
clicks.
it's 2 seconds every time. It's not even 2 seconds. It's like 10 seconds. I have to take out my phone, get the authenticator app open. It's lunacy. Lunacy. Can't do that.
Oh man, you're wild. I sign out, man.
I
don't
agree
want
that
people
it's
in
crazy,
there.
but I hate it. I for some reason hate switching browsers.
Arc is, I think you may have mentioned this. Arc is done now, right? Like it's not getting updates at all. You're supposed to use their new one. Which browser do you think you're going to switch? What are you going to plunge to?
Oh, I'm
Their
thinking just switching back to Chrome.
You're going to switch back to Chrome. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm done with browsers in general. I've tried Zen. I've tried Dia, which is the browser that Arc is making, like the company that Arc is making, which was bought by Jira. Anyway, like there's too much. There's too much going on. There's also like the AI browsers that are coming out. Atlas. I think that's the ChatGPT browser. There's Comet.
That's an for Mac.
Comet from Perplexity.io or something like that. I don't know. There's a lot of browsers, and I might use an AI browser in tandem for certain things. I haven't really tried them out yet, but as my main browser, I still think I'm just going to go back to Chrome and deal with the consequences. I think I could be wrong on that. I could find something better or something like that. What
defines an AI browser? Because I assume that Chrome has Gemini now, right? I don't know.
I don't know either. It might, but for me, what defines an AI browser now is the ability to perform actions on your behalf. So you can ask it to go to a page, click a button, do something, and it can actually do that. An agentic browser.
I'm trying to think of a scenario in which I would specifically want to type all that instead of just clicking like sign in or whatever.
Well, okay. I'll give you the example that I'm going to use. I am going to do this shortly, like in the next couple months at least. But for bookkeeping, I'm going to ask it to go into ChatGPT or whatever application that I'm paying for and go into the invoices section and download all the invoices. Invoices
section of
like
what, though?
Like receipts for invoices.
For
every service that we pay for, I have to go into QuickBooks and I have to add that invoice into QuickBooks on the matching day. So I'm going to try to get the AI agent browser thing to do it for me. I'll report back if it works. I don't know if it's going to work, but if it can do that, I will be very happy. That's really
one of the great things about
the only thing I know I will use it for, though.
I was going to say, like, one of the great things about just being in the Microsoft ecosystem is they're like, we have Copilot now in the browsers. Like, all right, we call this an AI browser now.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't think.
Can I still go to Google on here?
Yeah, I don't think Copilot can action yet, but I'm sure they're working on it. I'm positive.
I couldn't tell you. It hasn't told me, so I haven't checked.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for software and the main desktop computer or the computer that I'm using. Let's go to peripherals. So for this segment, I am going to be holding up some of these peripherals to the camera. So we are on YouTube and on Spotify video now, I think. If you're listening to this episode, it's fine. It's going to be literally me holding up some products. Not a huge deal. Don't worry about it. But if you want to check out the products that I'm going to be showing up on the screen, you are more than welcome to go to YouTube and skip to whatever part you're on and take a look at some of the products I'm going to show. And but yeah, with that, let's jump right into the first one, which is the keyboard. So I think I've been using this for a year or two now. I think a couple of years. So this is it's a wireless keyboard called the Newfie Air 75 V2. I'm going to hold it up here. It's a cool little low profile keyboard, right? So it's nice and sleek and decent Bluetooth connectivity. Although I had some issues initially, they had to update some firmwares and everything's been fixed since then. But overall, wireless works great. Battery life is like around 4 months. So it works good and it feels really good.
numpad, eh?
Yeah. It's good and it feels good. It has good switches. I can't remember what switches. I think I got the red switches. I like the linear switches. Newfie. Good little keyboard. The other part, like we don't have any affiliate links, so don't feel free not to go and click on any links, but we might have some links in the show notes for you to click on if you want to check them out, but they're not affiliate links. So
I just can't believe that you don't have a freaking numpad. I'm gonna go back to that. You got no numpad. Like you,
yeah.
because like I connect to servers, I'm pinging friggin' servers and stuff. I'm changing DNS records and things. I'm typing IP addresses. Mike. I need a friggin' numpad.
I don't have any server admin stuff that I'm doing, so I'm not typing administration.
You're using the friggin' terminal.
That still doesn't require me to type in IP addresses.
But you could do it.
I barely type in numbers. Like the number row is more than enough for me. If I needed a numpad, the more ergonomic thing to do was get an external numpad and just put it wherever you need it. Put it next to your mouse.
It is next to my mouse. It's attached to my keyboard on the right side of my keyboard, which is connected to my mouse.
I'd rather have a smaller keyboard so it takes up less room on my desk than a keyboard with a bunch of buttons that I'm never going to use.
You're trying to save space and then you're buying an extra peripheral with more cables.
Well, I didn't buy the extra peripheral because I don't need it. I don't use those numbers as much.
You're doing accounting. You got to type them.
I don't.
What are you doing, man?
My AI does accounting now. There's no accounting. I'm not doing any accounting. The other part about this keyboard that's cool that I don't use and that some people do use is that it actually fits perfectly on top of a MacBook keyboard. You can actually just place it on top. It's designed that way, so like you can put these down and literally put it on top of your MacBook and use it as the MacBook keyboard. I don't do that because the MacBook keyboard is fine. I don't really care.
Just use a MacBook keyboard. What's going on here?
Yeah, but some people, that's one of the advertising things that they talk about. Some people do prefer, again, there's some keyboard extremists out there that need mechanical for everything. They can't stand not having mechanical, even for the X amount of time that they're away from their computer. But whatever. Like that's what it's designed for. So I thought I'd mention it. Maybe people would want it. There is a V3 that came out. Apparently it's good. I don't know. Mouse. This is a typical productivity mouse. The MX Master 3S Logitech, also wireless. Good mouse. Has a bunch of shortcut buttons. Has this little gesture shortcut button here, just pointing at the side of the mouse here, where you could press down and then do like a gesture, left, right, up, down, and assign different things to those gestures. Like I have them switching between desktops. You can assign it to like volume control. You can assign it to whatever the heck you want. There's a side horizontal scrolling bar here, scrolling wheel here, which is nice. Obviously, back and forward.
That is nice.
Buttons.
I will say that is particularly nice.
It's nice for Excel sheets. It's nice for code sometimes if it's really long. I use that fairly often, honestly. And yeah, it's just a solid mouse. Battery also lasts for a long time, which I really like. I don't like wireless peripherals that have short battery life. Like a day is not enough for me, or even a week is a little bit low for me. I need it to be in the months range. So all of my wireless peripherals that I have for my computer, at least, are all like either 3 to 5 months on battery, which is plugging in every 3 to 5 months doesn't concern me. Like I don't really care about that. I just don't want to do it daily for these kinds of things.
The crazy thing is, Mike, is all my stuff's wired.
I know. Yeah. You like
my keyboard even takes 2 USB ports.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think that it's that big of a deal. It's more aesthetically pleasing for me more than anything else. And I don't have to deal with cables as much. I don't think it's that big of a deal to have it wired either. I think the mouse is a little bit different because I'm moving it around all the time and like the cable can get caught on stuff and can get a little.
I have a mouse bungee for that.
There we go. Yeah, I have a whole piece of tech to stop the cable from dragging and stuff like that. So I'm okay with just wireless. This is not a good gaming mouse, by the way. I want to make that clear. This is a heavy mouse and it does not have the best sensor for gaming. It's perfectly fine for everything other than gaming. So I still game with it because I don't give a crap and I don't play competitive games. But in general, like if you want a game, not the mouse for you.
Yeah, just to be clear, like I'm not going to cover my setup, but I use all SteelSeries stuff, like the SteelSeries, like Rival 710 or whatever, like the heavier one that they discontinued. That has a little screen that's constantly playing Space Invaders, and then I have the space of the Space Invaders constantly playing on a screen on my SteelSeries keyboard as well. So I use all that stuff, and it's all glowing, and I'm on a SteelSeries desk pad, which is also glowing.
Matt is sponsored by SteelSeries, or please, actually, SteelSeries, please sponsor Matt. That's what I should say. If
I do have a under my desk on a hook a SteelSeries headset, and it has a 24-hour battery, which is awesome. But I used it so much that I bought, because that is wireless, because it gets caught in my beard and my hair, so it gets annoying. But everything else is wired. But then I use this one so much that I bought a second one, so I can have one charging while I use the other one.
Ironically, that's the one thing that I don't ever want to be wireless is the headset.
Is your headset?
Is my headset. Yeah, my headset is 100% wired, and it's always been wired.
Crazy.
I've never wireless headset. It's the headset, just to talk about it, it's the Sennheiser 599 open back headset. I love open back. I don't particularly like closed back headphones for like long periods of time because I feel like they make my head sweat a little bit and they lock, like they're too noise isolating. I like to be able to hear around me. Plus, sound quality on these is amazing for the price, and the sound isolation, or like the distance of sound, because they're open back, it does sound like stuff is coming from pretty far away, which is cool when it needs to be. So I've been using these honestly, I've been using a variation of these for at least a decade now, because I had the 555s before, and they were also awesome. No complaints. Pretty solid headphones. Obviously, for recording, I'm starting to use the AirPods. That's just for convenience sake to not have the wire. There's an advantage to not having the wire for headphones.
Yeah, I have the wire for
But
this. I'm not using
so
a
you're
headset.
the
I'm
opposite.
using.
We're the opposite. We are literally the opposite people on the planet, like the most opposite people in terms of tech, which is insanity. Yeah,
I was like, man, if I'm ever recording, I don't want my headset to be like, beep, like
this
low.
is why I need long battery life. Like, these things have pretty damn long battery life, and I take them out of the case, and it's 6 hours. We're not going to be recording for 6 hours. I would hope not, at least.
I would hope not.
Yeah,
Holy crap. No one would be listening.
Yeah.
I'd be sleeping. Like we're on video now. You'd fucking
Yeah.
see me sleeping.
It's almost like better for them to be not longer lasting, because longer lasting could have that issue. Because if it's 2 weeks or something like that on a charge, you don't even know when that's coming up. Like, it's
That's my issue with the 24-hour one, is that
Yeah.
like I don't want to ruin my battery by charging it all the time, because I have a buddy who bought the exact same one, and he just throws on the charger every night, and it's boned. Same with my controllers. I started throwing my controllers on like docks, and my controllers started to get boned. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start only charging them when like it's low, and that's why I bought a second one. And that's not on SteelSeries. That's on me being cheap, not wanting to buy a bunch. So I bought another headset like a fool. So I'm paying anyway, I guess. But also I bought the Year of the Dragon red one limited edition because it's awesome. So that's there you go. So take it.
You got to get a SteelSeries chair now. Like, SteelSeries, I swear, if you're listening to this, we would love a sponsorship.
Heck, I'm using the same microphone as you, which you can cover it a bit here, but I'm using the same microphone as you, but there is a SteelSeries sonar, and like I had trouble with this. My firmware messed up on this Elgato, which I fixed. But if it was broken, I was like, man, I might just buy a sonar. I may as well at this point.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but microphone wise, we're both on the Elgato Wave 3s. They've been good. I mean, you guys can hear it. They sound good. They don't have an XLR interface, which is great. I don't want to deal with that. I don't know how to deal with that. That's another thing for me to learn if I need to get to there. The USB interface is fine. Their app is okay. They do screw up sometimes here and there, but whatever. So far, they've been pretty damn reliable. I get on a lot of Zoom calls, and people will be like, whoa, you sound like a podcaster. And I'm like, hey, guess what? I am a podcaster. And, and they sound pretty good. Camera-wise,
I was gonna say, sorry, the benefit of using USB, just to let everyone know, is if you use like I want to be clear, this is not like a high end. If you're like an audiophile, you're like, that's terrible. But for casual / like prosumer, let's say, use, this is like so portable. If we need to go on the go or whatever, you can just pick this up and then use a USB-C microphone or USB-C cable to connect this to another computer. If you have XLR, you have to have an interface and all that stuff, like Mike's saying, and it's a pain. And that's why that Shure not the SM7B, but there's like I think they call it USB condenser microphone, I believe. It's been a while since I've researched microphones, but they have like looks like a short little guy of the SM7B. That thing is XLR, or I believe it was USB as well. It was just coming out when we bought this. We got this on a really good deal, as you both bought it at the same time. Also, I want a brief correction. Sorry. It's not SteelSeries Sonar. I realized after I said it. It's SteelSeries Alias is their microphone.
Okay.
Sonar is like their software for microphone or for speakers or something like that. Don't quote me on the Sonar, but the microphone's called SteelSeries Alias. Just letting you know.
Sweet. Yeah. So SteelSeries, if you're listening to this, Matt's still on board. Send him Alias or whatever.
I'll use an Alias. Hell yeah. Fuck.
Heck yeah. Yeah, for the camera, I'm using an Elgato face cam. You can see it right now. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, I think it's decent for a webcam. Like, this is a webcam. It has what they call a DSLR sensor in it. I think that's just marketing gimmick, but it's a decent sensor for a webcam. This was their first generation one. I think they already have 2 or 3 generations ahead that are probably much better. It's 1080p. It's fine. I like it for what it is. I might upgrade at some point if the video starts to get better and we start to get more people watching on YouTube. I might throw an upgrade on here as well, because this is definitely still like more of an entry level podcast video microphone, or not microphone, but camera. It's could get better. Okay, one other thing that I do want to mention is for the mouse, I have this little gliding wrist rest. Highly recommend these things. These are freaking awesome.
What is that?
So you could just type in gliding wrist rest, I believe, into Amazon. I'm not pitching any particular one because there's a million of them. This thing like it's a typical wrist rest. You'll just place it down and you move like your wrist it'll just stay in one spot, and you'll just move your wrist. This moves with you as it forms to your hand. So if I hold it up, You can see it forms to the hand, right? Like it's fully like flush with the hand. And it's almost like I'm not touching anything, but it elevates my hand enough to be more vertical, like more horizontal, I should say, and more in line with the mouse. And so instead of being like this, I'm more like this with the mouse, and I'm able to save my wrist a shit ton of strain. Before I bought one of these, I had tendonitis, and it was pretty severe. Like I went to the doctors. The doctor told me, "You're done. It's over. Your wrist is gone forever," because that's what doctors do here. I looked it up. I researched it. I got a vertical mouse. Did not help in any way, shape, or form. And that's your mileage may vary on that. A lot of people swear by the vertical mouse helping them with tendonitis. So try it out.
People like ergo keyboard too. It's
Correct.
really up to your
Yeah, exactly.
ergonomics.
Try it out. You can always return it on Amazon. I highly recommend you try it. But then I looked up, and some people were recommending these. Literally like 2 weeks after I tried one of these, my tendonitis went away and it hasn't come back yet. So that's why I recommend it. It's cheap. You could try it out. If you hate it, whatever, like it's $15.
Is it mem foam? Like you said, it forms to you, or is it just
No,
formed
it's
to a
just like
generic
it's
person's
like
hand?
soft silicone rubber. Like it's a soft thing. I don't even feel it on my wrist anymore. And again, it slides similar to a mouse. Like it has the same pads on the bottom as a mouse does. And so you don't notice it when you're sliding. It doesn't have much friction. I recommend. It's cool.
That's a new invention to me. I've never seen that.
And there's ones for the keyboard as well. I haven't tried those out yet because this hand is fine. Like I have a little wrist rest for the keyboard. It's just like a regular one. I don't particularly need another one, but there are people do swear by having two of them. Thing here is my dock setup. So I have a Satechi Thunderbolt 4 Slim Hub Pro dock. This is for my MacBook, so I can connect my MacBook with one cable and have it connect to all my monitors and peripherals and stuff like that. This thing took me forever to find. I went through about probably 7 different docks.
You saying this to me?
All of different costs. So what I realized is with Mac OS, at least Windows, you can get a cheap $50 dock. Everything works fine. Multiple monitors, everything's fine. Whatever reason, Mac OS hates docks with a passion. Like I don't even really understand why. Hates docks. And if you get a cheap dock, it will work sometimes. And I say that with like full clarity that sometimes it might work. And sometimes it'll just start flashing one screen and the other screen will start flashing. And then all of a sudden it'll stop working for a week and then work again. Like literally I had all of these different problems with 5 or 6 different docks that were in the $50 to $120 range, right? Like I could not find one that worked in that range. And the only one that worked was like, I was like, okay, screw it. I'm just going to spend all the money I possibly have on a dock, which was like $300 at the time. And it's been solid. So you have to spend a lot of money on docks if you want to have a good dock for, specifically if you want multiple monitors. I should say that, because if you only want one monitor, I don't think it matters. You can have a cheaper dock. I also have a KVM because, like I mentioned, I have a Windows computer for gaming. So I have one set up for both. The KVM is a pain in the ass as well. I don't really have any suggestions here because I also went through 4 or 5 of them. They all sucked until I found some generic KVM that just worked fine.
Even like back in the day, used to be pretty trial and error. And like we trial and errored a bunch of them at work back in the day. And then we found one and then we fleeted it. Like we bought whatever 100 of them or whatever to distribute. So it was the same thing. It sounds, excuse me, like it's still the same thing, even like 10-ish years later.
Yeah. Even the expensive KVMs have issues. There's like really like $500 ones. And I was reading up on them and they're like, this works and this doesn't work. And I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to try 5 different cheap ones. And eventually I found one that fits my bill and it's been working solid for well over a year now, like a year and a half, I think. Can't complain about that. I mentioned my monitor setup, vertical monitor, MacBook, 27-inch monitor in the middle. Nothing too crazy there. Like it's a 1440p monitor as my main one with 144 hertz. More inclined for gaming than coding probably, but it's been fine for me. I like the size. 27-inch seems perfect for the distance from my monitor. I wouldn't want something bigger because I feel like it would start to fringe on the edges a little bit for me and I would have to move my neck too much. So I don't see the advantages of that. Maybe I would want 4K. I don't know, just for coding purposes to fit more lines of code. But at this point, like my eyesight's getting worse. I'm getting a little bit older. I feel like I'm still going to have the scaling being up high enough for me to see. So I don't think I'm going to see much of a difference. I could be wrong there. I haven't tried it. So that's your mileage may vary for sure. But the vertical monitor, it's okay. I don't think it's a super necessary thing, at least for me. If I was doing more spreadsheets, and I do some spreadsheets and I throw them on the vertical monitor and it's cool, I like it. I don't do it enough to warrant it. Mostly it's a distraction. I'll be honest. I think
I'm going to say this. I don't think you should have a vertical monitor. I think they're not designed to look that way, and it looks freaking weird. I'm just going to say it.
I think there is a good use case, and I've had good use out of it. For me personally, I feel like I should just stick to one monitor because I feel like I get distracted too much with multiple monitors. But again, I do use all 3 monitors for different things. When I get locked into a workflow, all of a sudden I'm pretty productive, but I think it hurts more than it helps, honestly. I have a sit stand desk. It's a generic sit stand desk that I bought from some, I think, Prime Cables, which is a Canadian reseller of Chinese stuff. It was really cheap when I bought it. Works really well. Dual motor, can go to whatever position. I stand every once in a while, probably not as consistent as I need, but usually when my legs start to hurt, I'll stand. What I really like about sit stand desks, other than the standing, is the fact that you can lock in the exact height you need for sitting. And that is also actually a really important thing for carpal tunnel and tendonitis, is if your desk is too low or too high, again, you're straining your wrists in different ways. So if you can lock in the exact height that you need when you're sitting, it's actually going to benefit you from a health perspective as well. I have a key light. You can probably see a little bit of that key light coming at me right now that I'll only turn on for podcast recording and stuff like that. I also just bought a green screen a green screen chair attachment. It looks ridiculous. It's a big circle. I could turn off my background right now, but regardless. So it's a big circle that attaches to my chair and it blocks all the background stuff. So now I don't have fringing around my headphones or fringing around my head and stuff like that. And it just makes it so it's little bit easier to light and a little bit easier to mask the background, because right now I'm in my bedroom. My daughter took over my office, so I'm temporarily, until we find a bigger space, in my bedroom. So I need to mask off the background. Hopefully we get some place that has a decent office space that I'll be able to build out the background and not have a virtual background. But for now, this is the way I have to go, unfortunately. It is what it
What's
is.
hilarious is you sent this to me, and I was just laughing like crazy because I thought it was
Yeah,
because
right.
I didn't read it properly. Because you like sent it to me, and the very first thing I did was click on the picture, and they had a really generic chair, and I was like, oh my god, he's gonna have 2 office chairs. Like, he's talking about trying to save space. He's gonna have 2 office chairs, one that's ergonomic and one to record a podcast / maybe record YouTube or something. And he's gonna have this absolutely ridiculous like side green screen chair. I was laughing like crazy because you like your ergonomic chairs and all that stuff and all that. And I was like, man, you're going in, you want an ergonomic chair, and yet you're gonna go get this like probably horrendously uncomfortable cheap chair just because it has a green screen. And I texted you that, and you're just like, man, it's just attached to any chair. I was like, man, I thought you were buying this chair. Holy, I
You
didn't
were
see the
100%
fasteners. I
positive
thought it
that I
was
was
built
buying
right
a
in.
chair. It was also like $30, so like hell of a deal for a chair and a massive.
That was why I thought it was gonna be so cheap and bad. I was so like into it. I was like, man, this is wild. Like, I want pictures. I don't even want you to turn on the green screen. I want you to just show people that you bought this chair.
Yeah, be amazing though. So yeah, it is just like literally an attachment to a chair, and it folds up into a little circle that you could store away in a case that it comes with. And for me right now, it is the perfect solution. I was actually thinking of some crazy solution of putting a green screen up on my ceiling and having it like roll down and up. That would have been insane for the temporary solution that I needed. This is the perfect solution. It's not like amazing. Like, you could still see some green lighting on me, right? Because the lighting is bouncing off of me and hitting the green screen, which is literally directly behind me. Ideally, green screens should be like a couple meters behind you, or like a couple few feet at least. But like, for me, this is not miles better. If you look at the older episodes with the older web news episodes without the green screen, you can see like through my headphones, you can see essentially everything going on behind me. Now it's much cleaner, much easier to key light. Okay, last thing I have for peripherals here is a really old Herman Miller Aeron chair. Matt mentioned I like my ergonomic chairs. I 100% do. I had, like, when I first joined my company, one of the like office bonus things was me going out and finding a used Herman Miller Aeron, because they're stupidly expensive chairs. New, it's like 2,000 Canadian, I believe, at the starting point. But this thing was like, I don't know, 8 years old at the time or something. $500. It's been solid, like really good ergonomic chair. It's the point where like you almost forget that you're sitting for long periods of time. Like, it feels good. And yeah, highly recommend to splurge on a chair, because there's other cheaper versions as well. My wife got a Herman Miller Mira, I believe it's called, or something like that. It's cheaper Herman Miller, and it's also really good, like night and day better. And she got it for $200 Canadian. So there's like used chair market is out there. Highly recommend you check it out if you're sitting on a cheapo chair right now. I think because we've gone so long on this episode, I'm actually going to skip the miscellaneous stuff because it's not really relevant to development, but I am going to leave it in the show notes. So if you want to see what I use for travel or gaming, that's going to be in the show notes. But yeah.
I actually, I want to bring attention to the fact that you have a PS Vita in this list, which is
Sure,
old now.
Yeah, we could talk about that. I've been always a PlayStation person. So I have a PSP, I have a PS Vita. I got the PS, like this is the first generation Vita, like I probably got it like 6 months after it came out. And it's been solid. Like it's been a good device. I recently modded it. It's been super easy to mod. And yeah, it opens up a lot of possibilities that I'm not going to get too deep into on a podcast, but it's a fun little device. There's some actually really good games for it. Persona, I think Persona 3 Golden or something like that. Solid game that you can get a lot of hours in, and it still holds up today. Especially the voice acting. It's crazy good, surprisingly. Yeah, it's a solid little device. I like it's my like travel thing. And I have a Switch as well, but I've been preferring the Vita because it's pocketable. The Switch isn't really pocketable anymore, or never was.
That's something that I do. So like right now I'm going in retro. So I have a PSP. I have 2 of them because if I have an OEM device, I don't mod or hack it. I like buy another one because I'm also going so far back that it's like $100. So it's not that crazy because I want my OEM one. And so I've been like modding a PSP. And so I've been like ripping through games on the PSP. And so it's, I'm looking at my Vita because I have that first edition Vita that came out like a week early, whatever. But it's scratched up. It's used. I used it every single day. I had the dock. I used the alarm, everything, like whole pack. Yeah, I have that one. Yeah, the PSP 1000. Like mine's all beat up and stuff because I used it. I used the living crap out of it.
Yeah.
It took one hell of a fall on concrete once and it like held up and stuff. And it's just, I use that device. And so if I do, you said monitor or whatever, like I would buy another one, but they're still like too expensive. And I'm also going through, almost said I'm going through a divorce. I don't know why I was about to say that. It's like, I'm going through a divorce right now. I've never been married. Just a quick little
No big deal.
Anyway, I don't know why I just saw that. But no, I'm going through a big old PSP collection. And so it's going to take me a couple of years. And then maybe I'll spend the 300 or whatever on a Vita. And then, especially if it comes pre-modded, like I'm so down with that because I can get things working. But, like it's just because because people say, oh, Matt, you're being lazy. You know how to do it. I do my hacking and stuff like that with an Odin 2, with an AYN Odin 2. That's my mess around, whatever device. With something like a Vita, like you said, it's pocketable, or a PSP. Like I use my PSP. My PSP's right beside me. I use my PSP, and like that, and my PSP is all skinned as well, so it doesn't get beat up because it's like a super nice, like a Japan only color. So I was like, okay, let's keep this thing nice. So yeah, no, I don't know, I brought that up, but yeah, it's pretty cool. You know what sucks too is I don't know if you don't have a Steam Deck, but I really like my Steam Deck. I hack around on my Odin 2. I hack around a little bit on my Steam Deck too, on there as well. The problem is they're so big that sometimes I'll go to some place and be like, this is portable, but man, not that portable.
Yeah, it's portable in the sense of like being able to put it in your backpack. It's portable in the same sense that a laptop is portable.
Yes. It is a portable computing setup. That is a portable gaming setup. It is not a handheld. It is a handheld, but it's not an old school handheld, like really small. So this is why I'm interested now in the AYN Thor.
Yeah,
because it's just a clamshell, protects the screen.
Yeah. There's a real ones out there, like Android-based ones and stuff like that. Honestly, the problem with the Vita right now is that if you go to look to buy one, they're actually hard to get because there wasn't as many sold as the PSP. Actually coming out as being pretty expensive. So I would almost recommend just going that route and just getting like a really nice, small, portable handheld device because you can still play all the PS Vita games.
Yeah. See, this is the thing is like people I've definitely been told this, and like I have some friends that are like, hey, you're wasting money. Your AYN Odin 2 would run all your PSP games.
Yeah.
But this is like where I'm hacking and stuff. Like my computer stuff, I'm done with it. I'm in that Microsoft ecosystem, like old manning it. This stuff, it's like, I get to mess around with these emulators or these different pieces of hardware and stuff. And this is where I'm getting my hands on like electronics stuff. Like I'm trying to mod a controller right now because I have a broken DualSense. I'm trying to get some Hall sticks going. And those skills are transferable, right? Once you have some electronic skill, you can do that professionally or personally. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's still electricity. So this is where I'm playing with it because it's just for fun. I'm not worried about a client or whatever. And if I get better at soldering or whatever, and I'm better at hacking things together or what have you, and we have a client that needs help, I could technically help them. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So it's just another skill where it's like, that's how I'm keeping my electronics alive. So this isn't about cost effectiveness, because what am I spending? Like $2,000 every 4 years? It's not that crazy as a hobby. Whereas, like, I always tell people, like, because they'll be like, oh, but it's $2,000. I'm like, yeah, but if I owned a boat and I needed a light, it'd be $4,000 for the light. Like, I don't have a boat. So let's relax here, people. Like, this is a pretty cost-effective hobby that I'm doing cost-effectively. I'm also waiting for Black Friday sales. So yeah, like, I'm splurging a bit on this, and it's a couple $100, but whatever. Like, it's
fine. It's part of the hobbies. I like it.
Yeah.
It's fun. Cool. I think that's it.
I think that's it too. And that's it. Should we do my setup now? Another hour? No.
Yeah, another hour and a half. Yeah. I didn't think that my setup was going to take that long to talk about, but we did go on a few, which is good.
No, it's good. Yeah, no, I think it was a good conversation, and we did bring up my stuff. I'm just joking around,
Yeah.
but no, I think it's good because I think people out there, they worry about what it is like to buy or what have you. And it's like we said right at the beginning of the episode, like, this is a multi-year having built up thing. Even the hobby thing I mentioned with the gaming thing, it's like, I mentioned the money over like a 4-year period, because like, I'm not just being like, all right, that's it, dropping 2 G's today. So no, I'm going to play with this, then play with that, then play with this, and you just build up to where you want to be. But I think that's it. That's the episode. If you want to support episodes like this, remember we're on Patreon, patreon.com/HTML all the things. And many thanks to our $3 tier patrons, Tim from the Web Hacker, thewebhacker.com, Jason from Geek Life Radio via geekliferadio.com, Garrett Segal, Level Up Financial Planning via www.levelupfinancialplanning.com, Magnus from YesWeb via yesweb.se, Syntaxify from the HTML All the Things Discord server, and Stacy Mosteler from the website swoonworthydesigns.com. Remember that we also have up to 20% off a Scrimba Pro plan if you want to go and take some of their courses. You want to upgrade and do some of them pro courses, which now include back-end and front-end stuff. You can go and do so with our link. That link will be in the show description, as well as the show notes on htmlallthethings.com, and full details about that link will be in the show notes on htmlallthethings.com. And remember that we are powered by Code Rabbit. They give you the power of AI code reviews to help cut your code review time in half. Check out the link in the show notes and episode description to net yourself a 14-day free trial with no credit card needed and just a 2-click sign up with a GitHub or GitLab account. And we like to give a shout out to Michael LaRocca, a contributing author on htmlallthethings.com. Michael is the author of Self-Taught, the X Generation blog at selftaughttxg.com. He just wrote a really cool piece, actually, a companion piece on our interview with Taylor Desson, which was about kind of landing a job, which is very relevant right now. The job search in general, the job search environment, market, whatever you want to say, is not great. And so he wrote a companion article if you're a person that prefers to read, or maybe you want to read and listen. We have an episode as well. Go and check that out. I'll include a link in the show notes on htmlallthethings.com. Feel free to leave a comment or a review on the platform you're listening to this on. And we are signing off.